All right, Alicia, we'll pick up where you left off there at the crisis at our southern border with former acting ICE director and Fox News contributor Tom Homan. Tom, thanks for being here in studio with us. And as we see this trial get underway, another part of it is the potential reportedly ties that Ibarra may have to Venezuela's most deadly gang. You heard those terrible descriptions of what he did to Laken Riley, raping, bashing her skull in with the head. But it doesn't come as a surprise if he is tied to this Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua. I just want to show our viewers that Chief Owens, Jason Owens of the Border Patrol, tweeted earlier this week that along the Texas border, there were 10 members with ties to the Tren de Aragua gang. What do you make of this?
Well, look, we know there's, over 1.8 million gotaways. That's what I've been screaming about for 3 years. Gang members and criminals normally don't turn themselves in the Border Patrol, right? Because they're going to be some sort of vetting and background checks. So that concerns me the most is, the 1.8 creeping up on 2 million people who chose to pay more to get away. Why didn't they want to turn themselves in and get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, free hotel room, 3 meals a day, free medical care, work authorization? Almost 2 million people paid more to get away. And these are going to be gang members. These are going to be your criminals. These are going to be your suspected terrorists. And look, I've said it before, this administration failed the family of Laken Riley on 3 counts. Number one, he should never have been in the United States. He should have been in the Remain in Mexico program, but Biden administration killed it. Even if that wasn't in place, he should have been in detention. The Trump administration ended catch and release. The Biden administration opened it back up. And third, even though he had an arrest in New York previously, even if he had the injury to a child, under this administration, ICE wouldn't have dropped a detainer on him anyways because it didn't rise to the level of Mayorkas memorandum that he's got to be convicted of a serious crime before ICE can take action.
Tom, you put your finger on something that every border official has told me is the most important, including you, and that is those gotaways. CBP sources confirmed to me this week that there have been over 184,000 known gotaways just this fiscal year. That, of course, the on record 1.6 million, you say 1.8 million because you can do the simple math. Back in February, at the end of February, I had a chance to interview Chief Jason Owens, and he talked about what worries him most, and it is essentially these gotaways that we don't know about that worry him. Listen here.
Border security is a huge piece of our national security, and Border Patrol is the primary agency in that endeavor. And when I tell you that there are areas of the border that we don't have awareness as to what's happening, this is the type of threat that I'm concerned with. There are those that want to come into this country and do it harm. Those are the individuals that keep me up at night.
You hear that? Border security is national security. Are we in a bad situation where we can not only worry something might happen, but something could likely happen?
Look, I've said it for a long time. Something's coming. No one's going to convince me that a single person off the terrorist watch list hasn't entered this country, not been apprehended. Just on the southern border alone, we got over 300, we're at 370 some now already. Under the Trump administration, 4 years, we had 13. In 4 years. So now you got this huge increase on people off the terrorist watch list being apprehended. But Jason just said it. Jason's doing a good job. He just said something that people need to pay attention to. We talk about the 1.6 and 1 million known gotaways. They're caught on video, drone traffic, sensor traffic. There's an image. We know they crossed and didn't get arrested. But as Jason said, there's large parts of the border we don't have that technology. We don't have sensors. We don't have drones. And so we don't know how many thousands of people have crossed in areas where we can't track them. There's no image of them. And if anybody thinks that number, it's probably as big as the 1.6 known gotaways. We don't know how unknown gotaways have come across that we don't have an image on.
You mentioned former President Trump. I thought it was notable in his remarks talking about his conviction and everything else. He did address the border. Here's what he said. Listen.
Who on earth can want open borders where people are allowed to pour in from countries unknown, from places unknown, from languages that we haven't even heard of? We have people coming from corners of the globe, and many of them are not good people.
In fact, we know, and you understand this, but for our viewers, there have been More than 52,000 special interest aliens. They call them special interest migrants now. It's the same thing. They're the migrants coming from countries that either are state sponsors of terror, like Syria, or are countries we are worried about national security. Is that alarming to you? And what do you make of President Trump's remarks?
Well, President Trump gets it, right? His success on the border is unprecedented. I worked for 6 presidents, starting Ronald Reagan. Every president I worked for, even Clinton, Obama, took some steps to secure the border. No one did more than President Trump. Illegal immigration at a 45-year low. Joe Biden's the first president in the history of the nation who came in office and unsecured the border on purpose. So the special interest alien concerns me because we got to figure, why would the terrorists put themselves in a position like 9/11 and buy a plane ticket or a visa, knowing there's a vetting procedure now? They'll be vetted through numerous databases when they can simply get to Mexico, pay the cartels a little extra money, and be a getaway. This should concern every American. It scares me to hell. Every American needs to be concerned with this.
And it's one of the top, if not the top issue. Tom Homan, thanks for coming in the studio and your time and insight today.
Thanks for having me, Graf.
Alicia?